Hello friends, I hope you all are well. In the last lecture, we have studied about how an assembly language program is run on 8051 microcontroller. In today's lecture, we will be studying about the different types of data types that are used in 8051 programming. But before moving forward, I have observed that many of the people who are watching my videos have not subscribed to my channel. So I request you all to please subscribe the channel and press the bell icon to get the video notification in the future. So let's start with our today's topic with our first question, that is what are data types and why do we need data types? So the first question here comes is, why do we need different type of data types for programming 8051? Because since one of our goals for 801 programmer is to create smaller hex files for the program, so they need to have a good understanding for different types of data types in 8011 programming, and they also know how to use them effectively. So now moving on to the first data type, that is unassigned character. Now let's talk about our first data type, that is unsigned character. Now since the 8051 is an 8-bit microcontroller, the character data type is the most natural choice, and it's range from 20 to 255 and is widely used data type. Like in example, for example, I have a counter in which I have to assign some values, and that counter can go up to 255 to 0 to 255. So for that, I will only use unassigned character rather than I use signed character. So for C compiler, it's user by default signed character until unless we specify that we have to use unassigned character. So on your screen there is a image of a program, a simple program in which we have to display from values from 00 to FFH on port 1. Here you can see, notice that we have written unassigned character Z. Z is a notation, and by writing unassigned character Z, I have made that Z an unassigned character. And when you run that program on a simulator, you will notice that on port 1 the values from 00 to FFH are displayed in binary form. So this was a basic example, a basic program for this data type. So I hope you understand the first data type. So we move on to the second data type, that is signed character. Now let us talk about the second data type, that is signed character. This data type is 8-bit data type, and which uses the most significant bit to represent the positive and the negative values. For this, we have only 7 bits for the magnitude of the signed characters, which are ranged from -128 to +127. It means that we can only use the values from this range only. We cannot use any other value of which don't come in this range. So I hope you understand the second data type. Now let's move on to our next data type, that is unassigned integer. So let's talk about our third data type, that is unassigned integer. And like our first data type, that was unassigned character, this data type is a 16-bit, and it has a range from 0 to 65,535. And because of this range, we can use this data type to define 16-bit variables like memory address. But this data type has a small problem, because as we know, our microcontroller 8051 is an 8-bit microcontroller. So because of that, we have an int data type that take up to 2 bytes in RAM. So we cannot use this data type until unless we have to, and it specifies somewhere that we have to use this data type and nothing else. So this was the third data type, and now we will be moving on to our second last data type, that is signed integer. Now let's talk about our second last data type, that is signed integer. Now this type of data type is 16-bit data type. As I've told you earlier about the signed character, which was the 8-bit data type. This one is a 16-bit data type, and this one also uses the most significant bit that is D15, to represent the positive and the negative values. Because of that, we have a range. We can use the values from this range from minus 32,768 to plus 32,767. We can use from this range for in our programming. So now let's talk about our final data type, that is Sbit or single bit. Now let's talk about a final data type, that is single bit or Sbit. This type of data type is most widely used in our 8051 programming because it allows to access the single bit addressable registers and single bit of SFR. This type of data type I have already used and told you about in detail in my practical videos. So you can go and watch that videos for more information about on this S-bit. For example, I can write an example for it for you. Like I have used S-bit LED P1.1 semicolon. Now what this S-bit does, I will explain it briefly. You can go and watch that my practical video. I will put that video in the I button. You can go and watch there. Now what is S-bit? It assigns this a single bit of port 1 to LED, means I have used this single port 1 of first pin as an LED. I have indicated that this pin is for LED. Now I have this S-bit data specify this one. So this is the most widely used data type in a 8051 program. So I hope you understood today's topic about the different types of data types in used 8051 programming. This data type is very important topic as we can use this data type to make our program smaller and more efficient program we can write. So I will meet you in the next video with a new topic. So stay home, stay safe and wear a mask when you go out. Meet you in the next video. Till then, thank you very much.